Hi, so this question is, how can I protect a vulnerable person from fraudsters? Um, so my answers are based on my mum at a time when she was still living independently, probably best described as mid-stage Alzheimer's. So it could be that everything that I'm going to suggest doesn't apply to your person, your brother, uncle, father, daughter, whoever, but hopefully there are some bits in there that could be useful. Um, Generally speaking, just be a little bit more sort of watchful of what's going on. It might be something that your person says, or it could be strange activity in their bank account, or um, it could come from anywhere. You just need to sort of put yourself on a state of awareness to listen out for any activities that you think shouldn't be happening. With some people, as they develop Alzheimer's, I know that their existing traits can perhaps be exaggerated, or they could almost develop sort of opposite characteristics to how you would think about their personality normally. With my mum, some of her traits have been exaggerated, so she's always been a really generous person. And the one thing that I noticed initially, I think it was the first thing that made me slightly concerned about what was going on, is that she was giving somebody money and clothing and food and taking phone calls and helping her try and establish her with her life. So this is somebody that was really sort of down on their fortune that my mother came across as she was going to her regular art classes, and I had to really have a series of conversations and try and gently question her to find out what was going on, and to think about what the risk elements in that were. Um, I think the most worrying point was when my mother said she had found somebody on the street and decided that she should give them a room for the night because she had plenty of spare room. Um, Very alarming, really alarming, actually. And at the end of it all, I wasn't absolutely sure that this had happened. I wasn't really sure whether this person had been the benefit of my mother's kindness, or whether she had somehow, it was just a delusion. I never really got to the bottom of it. I did manage to give her a sort of a logical explanation as to why she shouldn't do that, which actually wasn't to do with her safety at all. It was, I framed it in such a way that she understood that where she was living wasn't appropriate for that. So um, the kinds of vulnerability that can be exploited are really wide ranging, and that's why you have to be on your guard. In terms of finance, that's quite an interesting one. So one of the first things you can do is set yourself up as a signator on your person's bank account. You might have to agree a lasting power of attorney, that's what it's called in the UK, or just power of attorney someplace else, in order to do that. It took me a long time in order to get access to my mum's accounts, but it's been really useful to see exactly what's coming in and exactly what's going out. And over time, I've become more in charge of her finances. So I've gradually been able to do things like understand what my mum's wishes are. So all those direct debits that she set up as donations to charities for guide dogs for the blind, organisations like that, I've maintained. Those are her wishes. It's important that I don't just put my own personality on her finances. It's more about safeguarding her intentions. On the other hand, I had also noticed that there are some strange direct debits that have been set up that I know for a fact have been a result of cold calls. Um, and that's really worrying because my mum, and probably your person as well, is really open to having people ring up out of the blue and say, this is a really good cause, can you just give us your bank details? And that's really alarming. So that's an important one to keep an eye on, and it can be stopped, and you can report these organisations for their exploitative behaviour. That links me to the telephone. In the UK, we have a telephone preference service. That's a pretty good one to try and stop those cold calls coming through. So that's a useful one to do, although you do have to remember to renew that subscription every year. Um, Being tidy is quite an important way to protect your person, to make sure that they're not just leaving information out around their house. So if, for example, a letter comes through with a replacement bank card, um, it wouldn't be impossible for my mum to leave that replacement card and her replacement PIN number in exactly the same place out in the open when anyone that comes into the house is able to see it. So yeah, be tidy, and that just it just means that there's one less possibility of that being exploited. If you have a relationship with the community police, you could ask them to be involved. You could alert them to the fact that your person is vulnerable and ask them to keep an eye, or even stop in occasionally just to make sure that everything's okay. Check your house security. Are the locks strong enough? Are the windows boltable? That's to stop people coming in, but you also might want to stop your person going out. If that's the type of vulnerability that you're trying to protect, then you can set things like threshold alarms through organisations like Careline or Lifeline. And you might want to do that if, for example, you're concerned that your person is leaving the house late at night. If they do that, then there will be a whole series of actions triggered, which means that the organisation that monitor and then you will know that they've left the house late at night. If that's not desirable, then you can then step in to address it. If you're technology wise or technology interested, there are all kinds of further technology systems that you could consider as well, including cameras, CCTV or hidden cameras, or you could be looking at changing passwords for accounts. There's a whole remit of things there, but you may find that those are more or less necessary depending on who this is all for. That's a long list of suggestions, but hopefully some of them, at least one of them, is useful for you. I hope that it is. If you have any more questions that you want me to try and answer, then just send your question in the form of a tweet to answers2alts. I'll do my best to answer it. Or to find out about the next videos, please subscribe. Okay, thanks, bye.